Ladies and gentlemen, it is another episode of Dave and Ped's AGcellent adventure on a beautiful morning here in the homestead of my pal, the beautiful baritone. You'll hear Mr. David Curry recording. The sun's coming up, an absolute gorgeous sunrise happening outside. The windmills are kissing the horizon. It's just glorious out there. I'm trying to set the mood for people with like my poetic, the windmills kiss the horizon.
More than likely, they're not looking at the sunrise like you guys did on the way down.
So I hope they're closing their eyes and listening and being like, I'm ready for another adventure with them.
There we go.
How have you been, my friend?
Excellent.
Same.
We are done planting.
Hey-o!
So that's pretty awesome. I would say a majority of the guys around are done planting. We've heard of some guys that are maybe going to have to replant a little bit just from some crusting issues where the seed can't push through. And
yep,
that's a little bit of that every year, it seems like. But otherwise, guys, for the most part, are done. They're happy. We're done early, and I think that's a huge win.
Congratulations. Do you what's the feeling like when you get done? Do you have a little traditional celebration, or you just say nice and go park the planter?
Sometimes it's just nice.
Yeah.
we always have to turn around. We finish with our fields, and then the next day it's, we better clean the planter out because we need to plant the plots. And so we've got to show off the product. So there's a little bit of stress involved just with turning around, and then we have a full day of planting bean and corn numbers out in our plots. So that takes a little bit of effort, and it's not quite over yet,
Sure.
And then by the time the plot's over, we all just are like, I don't want to do anything anymore.
I figured you just treated plots like we treat the corn. We always put the sweet corn in first because we think sweet corn's most important.
We do sweet corn first. That's right. We go sweet corn and then the rest of the fields, and then we come around and back and do the plot.
Yeah. So for those people who might not be listening, lay down and explain what a seed plot is. Because we talked about last episode that you are a seed salesman. So what's the seed plot and the purpose of it and how it works and all that?
Yeah, sometimes you'll go past fields and they've got a whole bunch of signs, and each like corn, we have many different hybrids, right? So you've got two different parent strains that you put together to create a hybrid, and most of the time they result in different characteristics, right? So you got different stalk qualities or different yield qualities and different ear size qualities. There's all sorts of different things you can look for in different hybrids. And so we try to show off the variety of what we have in our lineup, in the DeKalb lineup. So we'll put about 15 numbers of DeKalb here, and we run 12 rows wide for 480 feet. So it's a pretty good test. We feel like we like running 12 rows. A lot of people only run 6 rows for longer distance, but so it's just the way we do our plot. And so I think we run 15 corn numbers and maybe 14 bean numbers or something. So it just takes a little bit of time and a little bit of effort, and but yeah, it's fun to kind of keep it up, and that, man, there's a lot of mowing that goes into that. Keep that nice and pretty all year.
And then you have, all the customers come, current, maybe some prospective customers come, and they're able to look at you peel the husk back, so you get the ears hanging out. People can walk by and look. It's kind of like window shopping for farmers.
Yeah, it is. It is
in a sense.
Yeah, you'll have guys just pull in and walk down rows and take a look at it, and which is good. I think when guys are in the middle of their season, they're seeing their stuff and they want to see what else is out there, and so it's a good thing to have.
Yeah, right on.
Yep.
Well, that's exciting. Planting for us, we're hopefully going to be done by the end of this week.
Woo!
We finally are just gung-ho, going like crazy. I still have a manure pile that probably has about 15 loads left in it, but we just said, we're done. It's time to do other stuff. That will get spread on hay between cuttings here and there. We'll put it on really thin so it doesn't hurt the hay regrowth and stuff. But we should be done by the end of the week. I've been doing a lot of field work, just out there jamming along to my podcast and music.
Yes.
Jorts.
Yes.
Shirtless. Enjoying all of God's beauty out there in the tractor working around. And I tell you what, the dust is flying.
Yeah.
About 3 weeks ago, I was not a happy camper because of the rain. And here we are. Dusty as all can be. And I honestly wouldn't even be mad if we got like 0.2 inches of rain.
Only 2 tenths?
Just 2 tenths. That's all we need for now. Just 2. Then let's go another week or so and then give us some.
Man, we are so different. I would prefer an inch or 2 at this point.
Just a couple tenths here and there. I just like the ground to get a little wet. Then it dries up quickly and I can keep working on stuff. And
But
not
I
get
prefer
covered.
listening to mud stories from you. So
Well,
I think inches is better than tenths right now.
If this podcast would have started 2 months sooner, we might have gotten canceled.
Just from your
We might have gotten
language, your
canceled
language
before
usage.
we ever started. No, I have a filter. I can put my filter on for the public.
There you go.
My dark mud thoughts stay, and text threads are just inside me internally.
Okay. Who else is on that thread? Anyone else on that thread? Just you and Jesus.
It's
on
just
that
me
thread.
and Jesus and a lot of forgiveness.
And Josiah. Josiah is probably on that thread too.
Yeah. Speaking of Josiah, we've been making a lot of videos. Josiah's been spending a ton of time at the farm with me. We've been making a lot of videos. So part of you and I starting this podcast, and I have another one, and starting a full-blown like Hut Media like podcast and YouTube network. And I also have my personal page. We're going to put out weekly farm videos. The first one just came out every Monday at noon. You could search for Adam Pedersen. It's going to be a weekly 15 to 20 minute farm video. This guy, Josiah, over here, producing our podcast, the man is crazy. He's like sprinting through the field with the camera, getting shots of me working ground. He's walking around getting shots of me doing stuff with cattle. It's really been dry since he got here, so he hasn't got to truly experience mud and mud Adam, but we'll see. Josiah, have you been having fun on the farm? He gives a big thumbs up. The other day, it was so funny. The other day, he was just like full sprint, dust flying in his face. He's like running back and forth, holding the camera down by the soil finisher, getting like a nice, one of those nice up close shots as it's working dirt.
Yeah.
It was really funny. So the guy's doing an amazing job. I think he enjoys the farm, but I guess we'll find out the more we go on.
I look forward to finding you with a big old taped ankle someday, because you running through a pasture is not going to end well. I can just see it, man. There's going to be a big rolled ankle in the future. It's going to be black and blue, big old swollen sitting on the table in here. It's going to be so funny.
See that? I'm going to have to like go out in the pasture and waterways and like mark all the potholes.
Yeah, flag them all.
Oh, man. I have some more exciting news, Dave, I want to share with you.
Here we go.
Okay, when you're a kid, you come in, I don't know, you're a healthy fella. Maybe you didn't do this a lot. In my house, we always had these. You come in, you've been playing outside all morning or working with dad on the farm. It's 84 degrees. You're sweating, you're grimy. You come in, eat lunch. What do you want? A nice cold treat after that meal. Either it could be a mid-afternoon snack, could be dessert after lunch, maybe dessert after supper.
Is this me as a child growing
what
up?
did you have? And
Freezy Pop.
Ooh.
Yeah, Freezy Pop.
Freezy Pop was
Blue,
clutch.
probably blue or red.
Gosh, we love those. What about...
If I could have more food dye, I don't know if you could find a product that could give you more food dye in one punch than a Freezy Pop.
My favorite part, I've never been shocking to no one, I've never been a slow eater. But with a Freezy Pop, I would intentionally eat about 2/3 and let the rest melt so I could drink it.
Oh yeah.
That little 3.5 ounce shot of Freezy Pop juice is glorious.
Yes. Also known as what else are they known as? Freezy Pops, or what's the other name for them?
Something sickles, right?
I don't know.
There's like freeze sickles.
People in different parts of the country, they call them different stuff.
I called them Freezy Pops. I thought there was something like freeze sickles. I can't remember for sure. But a staple of the Pedersen house, we had Freezy Pops a lot if we wanted to go the fruity route. But we also had ice cream sandwiches.
Oh.
Love me an ice cream sandwich.
Would you do that middle of the day, or is that an evening thing?
That's kind of an all-day thing. Usually about 3 a day. I'd say the majority of the time I ate them was middle of the day, but definitely just all day.
Okay. That's
and
great.
You don't feel guilty about it when you're going to go outside and run around another 2 miles, right?
That's right. Just keep going.
Pop-Tarts
Okay.
is making a new line of ice cream sandwiches.
Whoa.
And I saw this and got fired up the other day. So Pop-Tart, you got an iconic young kids breakfast, ice cream sandwich, an iconic young kids dessert or snack. This is some of the flavors they have. This fires me up so much. They have the straight up classic frosted strawberry. So you can see here, it's like going to be a Pop-Tart.
Holy smokes.
Like 2 Pop-Tarts is going to be like the bread kind of to your ice cream sandwich.
Yeah.
You got brown sugar cinnamon, an iconic one.
Oh, man.
Chocolate fudge, s'mores. This one looks like my favorite, potentially. Brown sugar cinnamon.
So they're mixing 2 together.
Oh, dude, this is going to be amazing. And I just wanted to share that because it made me very excited. And I didn't know if you were an ice cream sandwich kid growing up.
So what's your favorite Pop-Tart?
Got to be strawberry. Classic
Really?
strawberry. And don't give me that non-frosted stuff. What are we doing?
What do you mean?
There's non-frosted strawberries, and people eat them because they're like, I want to be healthy. All you're doing is eating a glob of sugar between two things, whether you have
They
the
make a
frosting or not.
non-frosted Pop-Tart?
Yeah, where it's just a brown crust, no frosting.
That's legitimately the worst part of the whole thing.
Yeah. You're just eat the frosting. You're not, what are you saving yourself? 4 calories? Come on.
We're brown sugar people in this household.
Oh, that's probably my number 2.
Yeah.
Man, they're so good. So the
I hadn't
family's big
had a
into
Pop-Tart. I hadn't had a Pop-Tart in probably 20 years.
Then you had kids.
And then I met my wife.
Oh, baby. Here we
And
go.
all of a sudden Pop-Tarts start showing up. And not just like a few. It's like a regular item that we get from the grocery store now.
Dude, your wife and I are like, we're like long lost best friends.
Yeah.
That we have so much in common, I've discovered over the course of our friendship.
Sometimes it feels like I'm married to Adam. It's really fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like you get the entertainment, but then you get to roll over and you get the good looks with Kelly.
Yeah. That's right. Thank goodness I'm not rolling over
Oh, man.
and seeing Ped.
Some more catch up on the farm. I am annoyed with my cattle herd right now. I have gone like a week with no calves, and it's bothering me.
Really?
I still got like 55 to go. And a lot of time, I mean, some of them look like they are about ready to pop.
Okay.
But you get this hot weather. The thing about cattle that I think differentiates them from humans, I swear they can hold it.
Yeah.
Like it's a poop. I swear they can hold off like having a calf because it'll get cool down and bam, you'll have 15 of them. When it's hot, I think it's just because how much work they go through and it's exhausting and they don't want to get warm that they don't do it.
Yeah.
But so with this warm weather, I've gone like a week and a half without any calves and I'm getting annoyed because I want to get through my calving season, get it over with, get them growing so like come next spring, they're nice and girthy and heavy and stuff, but I'm just bumming me out.
I was just going to say that should be fixed here in the next couple of days because it's going to get cold.
Yeah. I imagine
Colder.
the next recording, I'm going to be like, yeah, I had 12 calves this week.
Yeah. Yeah.
So-
and you're going to have black circles under your eyes because you were out all night long.
Yep.
It'll be fun.
Hey, but if it rains and we get a little bit mud, then we can make that video.
There we go.
Me just sweating, mud, poop running down my arm, carrying a calf that's peeing and pooping all over me, as they love to do. But sometimes I don't have the patience to move them along slowly, so I just pick them up and carry them, as long as I know the cow isn't going to take me out. Still bottle feeding 3 calves. They're getting very aggressive to the point where you got to hold that bottle tight, or your shoulder's going to go out of place.
Yeah.
As they do the headbutt thing they do when they're sucking milk. So annoying if you're not paying attention. Just knocks the bottle right out of your hand.
You think you'd be doing this long enough to know that?
Yeah, right? It's that ADD. I start listening to a podcast. I'm like, oh, that's interesting. Poof, there goes the bottle out of my hand. And I know everybody out there is wondering, yes, my tan is exceptional right now.
Yeah, I bet it is.
It's honestly exceptional. So we caught up with you with planting season, the weather, and I was going to ask you your thoughts on the rain. You kind of said you'd like 1.5 inches or so.
Yeah, if we had some rain right now, I think that would be spectacular. We're trying to push the last couple fields out, right? And I mean, the seed is actually popping out of the ground. We're starting to actually get some stuff coming through the soil surface, but we are not quite all the way there with everything. So I'd prefer it to be, in the next couple days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, people always hear about my kids, my cows. What's been going on in fatherhood land? David is a father of 3 girls.
Yes.
So my goodness, you have God knew that you were a man of great patience, and He gave you 3 girls.
I don't know about that.
What's been going on as life as a dad lately? What's it like during this season, being a dad when you got to try to spend time for them, but you're also very, very busy, especially with the seed business and planting season.
Yeah, I'm actually very excited for this season because we move into summertime and we're out checking fields and we're spraying and stuff, but for the most part, it's a little bit slower. We've got our really busy seasons, which is usually harvest and then kind of selling seed after that until the end of the year. And then from about March 1 until middle of May, it's jam packed.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so we'll run around, we'll pick up boxes and pallets from everybody that was planting seed this year and do some spraying. But otherwise the girls are getting out of school here in the next, I got one in kindergarten. She'll finish in the next couple weeks, and then we got a pre-K that'll finish today. So, there's more time with them riding in the sprayer and hanging out, getting some stuff done around the house and the yard, and doing some fun stuff. So excited. We'll go on some fun bike rides. We got the little Burley trailer, we got the little tag along, we got one that can ride her bike. So we'll go out to some bike trails and hit some fun stuff during the summertime. We're looking forward to that.
Just a picture of the perfect American family.
Yes. And the perfect American family takes their 1.5-year-old for a bike ride on a nice, beautiful Sunday afternoon. The crabapple trees are in full bloom, and it's probably about 75, 80 degrees out, and it's her first time ever. So we put her in the little Burley, and, she drinks a bunch of water. She's obviously thirsty. And so we ride for 2-3 miles, and we get about 5 minutes from being back to the car, and she pukes all over herself. Ralphed up everything you can possibly imagine.
Now that's real life.
And true to our good parent naturehood, we brought nothing with us. So she sat in a wet diaper all the way home.
Poor girl.
But I knew she ate it for lunch because, we had gotten about 5 minutes from being to the end, and you could hear her just, all over. and Kelly stopped. She goes, she's throwing up. And I was like, well, do we clean her off? She says, I don't have anything to clean her off. We just need to go back to the car.
Yeah.
So we just rode back to the car. By the time we got back to the car, she was trying to eat what was on her lap. And so yeah,
that's like cattle behavior.
Yeah, I think we're looking forward to summer. Summer should be great. Yeah, bike rides all around. We'll have to figure out a way to keep her cool, but I think we'll figure it out.
Well, you throw it up, you're hungry again.
Yes.
So you got to start eating again.
I know. Yeah. So there you go. That's what we've been doing.
That is awesome. Your kids crack me up. I think they're awesome. They like coming out on the farm, it sounds like.
Yeah, they're girls. They love pink. They love dresses. They abhor jeans. They hate wearing jeans.
Amen. So do I.
And so, there's a few times where I'm like, okay, you got to wear jeans to do this thing.
Yeah.
So we were out asparagus picking in one of our ditches, but I wasn't out there 2 minutes, and I had a tick on my legs. And so I said, if you guys are coming asparagus hunting, you're wearing boots and jeans.
I can't imagine that little girls would handle a tick on their legs well.
Yeah,
I feel like that could be a freak out.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, especially for them.
Oh man, asparagus season. That is one of my favorite parts of summer.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think we've got about 2-3 pounds picked. One of my neighbor's sons, him and his buddies take the side-by-side out, and they just scour the ditches. They love it. He stops in the farm the other day. He goes, hey, you want some asparagus, Adam? Opens the door to the side-by-side. No room for their feet or anything. Just asparagus everywhere. So he gives me like 5 pounds of asparagus. He's like, yeah, just take it. He goes, if you run out, we'll have more.
Yeah.
I love neighbors like that.
It's great. And when they pick it and give it to you, that's even better.
Oh, it's
when people come and pick it and don't give it to you. They come into my ditch. Got to get them out of my ditch.
Yeah, there's you got to play the game. Listen, I understand it's public, but it's like right here, and I'm not shooing you off. So
asparagus hunters can get wild.
Oh, I've got stories.
People coming into people's yards and picking their patches, not in the ditch. These are in people's yards.
Oh, I'll share one. I pulled in. This was probably 6-7 years ago. I pulled into the farm, and I see a car parked on the side of the road. And I'm driving north, and one of our pastures goes north of my parents' house. I go, what is that out there? And I get closer. These people are walking around out in my pasture with my cattle, looking for asparagus. And so I pull in, I open the gate, and I drive out there, and I was mad. I gave them an earful. I was like, first of all, my cattle don't know you. They might spook when they see a stranger they've never seen before, because cattle get jumpy when a human they've never seen before is walking around by them.
Sure.
And I was like, you can't just walk onto someone's property. They climbed over a barbed wire fence and over an electric fence after the ditch to get into my pasture. I gave him a piece of my mind.
I would assume there's not a whole lot of asparagus in your pasture.
No, I don't. That's the thing. What are they doing walking around in a...
Yeah, it's called ditch asparagus. It's called ditch asparagus for a reason.
If there's asparagus in my pasture, my cattle have probably eaten
That's what I was thinking.
But, oh, man, I was hot. That made me so mad. I was like, the indecency. Come on.
Yeah.
But anyway.
We're getting through. We're almost to the point where I've had my fill. You grill it a handful of times, and
it's not possible to have your fill, is it?
Every time you eat it late at night, and then you wake up in the morning and you go to the bathroom and you're like, ooh,
yep, I've had my fill.
Yep, had my fill.
That's what cattle, man, cattle pee smells like asparagus pee. It's one of the worst things ever.
All the time?
Oh, dude, cow pee is nauseating. I was milking a cow like a month ago to get one of these bottle calves some milk and get it going. She just unleashes while I'm under there milking her, and I'm like holding down puke and gagging, but also like she's calm, so I'm milking at the same time and gagging over here. It was a shame that Josiah wasn't there to film it. I'll just say that because it would have been great content. All right, so you before we get into the meaty part of this episode, we got to talk about a company. You recently bought a lawnmower.
Yes, I did. Yeah, I bought
and it's funny, we were talking about a lawnmower in episode 1 of your auction finds.
Yes, we were. Yep.
And here we are. You bought a mower.
I know. It wasn't quite as big. The one we were talking about in the auction was an 11-foot mower, but it was a Toro mower, which this is an Exmark, which Toro owns Exmark. Exmark.
Okay, here we go.
Exmark's the number one commercial brand mower in the industry.
That's amazing.
So this is a 3-year-old machine. It's a 72-inch deck. It's got the independent suspension. It's a nice ride. It's very nice. But I've been needing something, the mower, if you don't have any independent suspension and you're spending 3 or 4 hours mowing, you need a little better ride.
Yeah,
right?
It's like getting off a horse after she's like struggling to walk and your knees hurt.
Exactly. Yeah. So we've got a fleet of mowers to get stuff done, but I was trying to find something for Kelly she'd be able to mow her a little faster without having to bounce off the seat. So I was doing a little digging, and I bumped into a buddy of mine who I know, and he recently has taken over Sheldon Power and Equipment.
Sheldon Power and Equipment.
And so they have all sorts of good stuff. They got Unverfirth grain carts. They got Landall tillage tools, Thunder Creek fuel trailers, but they also have Exmark land mowers.
Boom.
Exmark land mowers. Exmark mowers.
Exmark land mowers.
And so...
Well, you can't mow the sea.
You can't mow the water. But yeah, so he brought 2 down for me to try, and it was an exceptional experience. So I talked to Mitchell and I said, hey, why don't you guys be our first show sponsor?
Boom.
And so our first show sponsor is going to be Sheldon Power and Equipment.
Yeah. And go ahead, buddy.
Well, and they've got a lot of machinery type things, but they also have a livestock confinement. What I guess you would call it products for confinements and such. So you can go in and get all sorts of waters and fencing and all sorts of different stuff.
Now you're speaking my language.
But a lot of people don't even know that, because when they took over the old John Deere dealership in Sheldon, and so they sell all sorts of stuff. They service mowers, they service big machinery, but they also have this livestock sales stuff in-house that most people probably don't even know about. But that's actually probably what they move the most of is livestock equipment. So
up there too, a lot of cattle up as we get towards Sheldon and beyond.
Right. So welcome to Sheldon Power and Equipment for sponsoring the show, and I'm sure we'll hear more about them in the near future.
Yes, that I did not know about the cattle stuff. Now I'm really fired up to have them on board. And what as Tim Taylor would say, what we like is more power.
More power.
Sheldon, I just had a thought. What was I going to say about while you were talking about it? I can't remember.
Probably the land mowers. It was probably land mowers.
Something about mowers, but I don't remember anything. I have CTE. But Sheldon, I used to take a bunch of back roads when I go to Sioux Falls to sell cattle or visit my buddy who lives there or my sister who lives there. And I have since pivoted, thank you to some road construction happening in Cherokee County, Iowa. I changed my route to go through Sheldon now when I go up to get on Highway 18 and head that way. And I tell you what, it's like the most perfect drive ever, because I'm usually going there in the morning. I have a squirrel bladder and I love my coffee. So usually by the time I get to Sheldon, I have to pee. Well, wouldn't you know it, they have a Quick Star. So I get to drive an hour and 20 minutes, stop at Quick Star, empty the bladder, load up on food I don't need, because I'm honestly obsessed with Quick Star. If Quick Star wants to sponsor us, I would cry. Yeah. I'd cry if we had Quick Star as a sponsor. and then I reload on my coffee and I hit the way. So Sheldon is a wonderful town for me, because it's my halfway point to refill, get snacks I don't need, calories I don't need, and then make the rest of my trip to Sioux Falls.
Yes.
Gosh, I love that place. So Sheldon Power and Equipment, thank you. I don't know. I might have to come buy some cattle supplies. I have issues when it comes to cattle things. I often buy things I think I need that I don't.
I know nothing about the cattle or confinement. I'm not sure how much cattle stuff. I know they got a lot of hog confinement stuff, but I'm sure they can find whatever you want.
Yeah, we should go there sometime, check it out.
Yeah.
So, all right.
All I know is that they got excellent mowers.
Excellent mowers.
Top of the line.
We'll have to get a mower review from Kelly later in the summer.
Yeah.
Get
That'd be great.
Top 5 things on this new mower, and she'll be like, well, I get off it and my vertebrae doesn't hurt.
That's a good one.
So that's a bonus.
Yep.
All right. So last episode, we touched a little bit on why we came back to rural America. I know what I was going to say. Sorry. ADD brain. It kicked in. This is one great thing about rural America. The guy that I don't think you often get in cities, he brings you 2 mowers to try.
And I'm an hour and a half away. Yeah.
This happens with the company that we buy our skid loaders from. Oftentimes when they'll come with a trailer. First of all, they don't make us bring it to them. They're like, no, we got you. They'll bring their truck and flatbed down. They'll pick up our skid loader, take it back. But they'll bring like 2 skid loaders, drop them off for us to use while they have ours. So we're not just out high and dry, but then they're thinking, well, you might like them, see what you think. Mm-hmm. And that reminded me of like when you said the guy brought the mowers, like I feel like this, and maybe this isn't just a rural America thing, but I don't think you find that in a city where they're like bringing you, say, here's 2 mowers, try them out, see what you think. You got to make sure you like the one you buy.
Yeah.
And stuff. And so that reminded me, like, that's just another awesome feature of rural America, I think.
Yeah. And, when you're spending the sort of money that we spend on mowers around here, you're not buying a push mower, And so the thing, I want to make sure that it works well.
Yeah.
And I want to see it cut my grass.
Yeah.
I left my grass really long just to try these mowers. So he knew that. And Mitchell and I go back a couple of years on some other stuff. And so when he brought the mowers down, I thought, oh yeah, this is going to be awesome. This is going to be awesome.
Well, shout out rural America, shout out Sheldon Power and Equipment. All right. So last episode we talked, now that I got my random squirrel brain stuff out of the way, we talked a little bit about why you guys came back and our journeys back to rural America, but I thought we should dive into it a little more. We talked about this a little bit yesterday, and I know you got some stuff to share. I have some questions to ask you, but I didn't know if you had some thoughts first you wanted to share, or you want me to dive right in with the questions?
Go for it.
So going in depth on why you came back to rural America, you came back as a married man.
Yes.
And so I was curious was there a lot to weigh when you were considering it? Were you thinking like, well, I don't know, this could be negative, this could be positive overall? Just kind of like what went through your guys' mind when you were weighing this?
All kinds of decision making and pros and cons. We actually made a pretty significant pros and cons list. And a majority of the cons had nothing to do with people. A majority of it was wind. Like that was the challenge.
Preach.
I
hate wind.
We got to come back and deal with wind every day. There's never not wind.
Josiah
always windy.
That.
So I would say that our pros were vastly outweighing the cons, right? Part of our hesitation in moving back originally was that we both had lived in Colorado before we met each other for 5, maybe 6 years, right? And so we both had kind of built our own individual lives in Colorado, and then we met and got married and had a kid, and all those things are great. Mm-hmm. But one of our hesitations was just when you move back, you kind of expect that things aren't going to be the same as when you left, right? And I think that's only a healthy hesitation. And so if you expect everybody to be the same when you left, then I think you're not quite thinking clearly there. But I think that we knew that when we wanted to move home, there were a handful of reasons, and we had been spending so much time marketing and selling stuff and talking to people, and a majority of your interactions are focused around business, right? And we wanted to run as far away from that as possible. And so when we look at moving back home, we still have a seed sales company, but at the same time, a majority of our life here does not revolve around selling seed.
Yeah.
And that's what we want. And we wanted our kids to be able to have an experience running around the farm and not having their shoes on and not having me looking over their shoulder every minute.
Yep.
And that's pretty important to us. And I know that we would not have gotten that if we were living where we were living before.
Yeah. Did you feel like you guys were leaving a lot behind, whether it was like, oh man, we have a lot of friends here and this is a place where it's easy to meet people and we're worried we're going to Podunk, who knows if we'll know anyone besides my family. I mean, I guess you're from here, so you knew there's probably some high school connections and growing up connections, people still farming maybe, or business people that you knew. But did you feel like you were leaving a lot behind and you weren't sure if you'd find the same connection or joy maybe in those things?
No, I think there's a certain expectation that when you're ready to leave, you're ready to leave.
Yeah.
And when we had kind of made that decision to leave, we knew that I am very comfortable being here. Mm-hmm. Kelly, being a military kid who moved a bunch, it's both twofold, right? She had moved a bunch in her life, grew up, born in Panama, raised in the East Coast. Parents have moved several times. She went to 3 different high schools in 4 years. Mm-hmm. And Colorado was the longest she'd lived anywhere. But moving to Iowa, meeting people was probably something that we knew we were going to have to handle mm-hmm. for her, just like, making friends and building connections. But actually for her, going somewhere that she may never move from was almost more of a holy moly
I might
sort
actually
of idea.
Stay somewhere for 10 years.
I might be in this house for the rest of my life, sort of thing, right? And that's a foreign thought for her. And so coming back and building relationships, and but I've always been the sort of guy that when you're ready to leave, you're ready to leave. When you're ready to move on, you're ready to move on. And so when I left athletic training, it was cold turkey into selling real estate. And when I left real estate, I just stopped selling real estate and started farming again, mm-hmm. And so that's how I've always operated. I've never kind of been a half in, half out sort of person. And because how do you know if you don't go full tilt, right?
Yeah.
And so I think there's a lot of benefits to that of jumping all in.
Yeah.
And Kelly and I had spent some time in the fall. This would have been the fall of 2019 that we'd come back and we'd spent some time and previously we'd been married for a few years and she'd always said, do we want to move back home? And I said, well, if we're going to do that, we need to start spending a little bit more time there, right?
Yeah.
We need to see if we like it.
Yeah.
And so we'd come back for harvest, and this was in the fall of 2019. And we had, back in Colorado, we had a full development where we were selling lots for a developer. Okay. So we had like 120 lots that we were trying to sell east of Denver. And it was not going well at all. Like I think we had moved one lot, right? And this is in Colorado where everything sells.
Yeah.
Like you don't have to do anything and it sells. And maybe that's indicative of how good of real estate agents we were. I don't know. But nothing was moving. And I mean, it was a beautiful location east of Denver. I don't know. It'd probably take you 25, 30 minutes to get into Denver.
Okay.
And so, it should have been a great spot.
Yeah.
But we were just banging our head against the walls, and the regular residential stuff when you're selling houses, that stuff was moving fine. But man, so we came out here to take a break for a week, and I was driving the grain cart and I kept getting phone call after phone call of these people trying to just ask questions. And in your heart, you're kind of like, you're not going to buy this lot, quit bugging me, and you can feel that from people, whether they are or aren't going to buy, or if they're just messing around. And so we were up at this farm where we don't have any reception. And so I would drive to the top of the hill to call somebody, talk to him for a couple minutes, and then I would drive back and I was like, I can't even get away from this when I'm farming. Yeah. Like when I want to be here, I can't get away from this. And so that we pulled out of the lane, and Kelly says, so when are we moving back? And just straight faced, ready to go, you know? And I think she could tell it in my face that I was tired of trying to be in front of people and trying to to gain attention, because that's really what you're trying to do when you're selling something in a crowded place. You couldn't throw a rock and not hit a realtor in Colorado, So it's one of those things where when you're trying to gain everybody's attention all the time, that eventually builds some fatigue.
Yeah.
So she could see it, and she just asked me, "So when are we moving back? When are we doing it?"
The Lord was making it pretty clear, like, lots aren't selling. Wife said this. Maybe it's time to come back.
Yeah. Yeah. And so we spent 9 hours on the way home talking pros and cons, and ready to, there was a handful of outside influences also at the exact same time, which I would be remiss to say that they didn't influence us heavily, right? There were 2 books specifically that came out. One was called To Hell with the Hustle by a guy named Jefferson Bethke. And if you're old to the YouTube scene, there was a YouTube kind of spoken word by this guy it was called Jesus Greater Than Religion. And this came out, man, it was probably when I was in college, 2008 or 9, right when YouTube came out. This guy had 50 million views in a short amount of time. Anyway, he ended up writing a book called To Hell with the Hustle. And there was another book by a pastor named John Mark Comer, which is, I don't know, the title all of a sudden is escaping me. But those 2 books are extremely important to what we were doing in moving back here. And so searching for obscurity is probably what we were aiming to try and find. And I would say that we have found that in spades.
Yeah. What's the... I can just picture my dad. My dad's a patient man. He'd probably be like, whatever, he must have to go up there for some reason. But what's your dad thinking when you're driving to the top of the hill, need to take phone calls and come back? And is he like, geez, what's this big timer doing up here?
I don't think he minded. But I was actually having to tell people, like, I'll call you back from a landline that you're not going to know the number. So just make sure you pick up your phone.
Yeah.
I'd come back here, and then they get a 712 phone call in Colorado. They're like, "Who is this? Are you kidding me?"
Oh man,
yeah.
Were you guys? Were you nervous? Josiah's got something over there for you. He's trying to show you the book title. I think.
The Ruthless Elimination of Hurry. There you go. Yeah, that book.
The joys of having an in-studio producer.
That's great. I was trying to do it myself, and you're much faster than I am. Good job.
Were you? Was there? It sounds like to me like you guys really thought it through, and there probably wasn't a lot of nerves about coming back here. It kind of goes with what you just said. It sounds like you thought, you know what, it's what we need. We'll find our community. God, He'll provide. He'll take care of us.
Yeah.
But was there a lot of nerves when you finally actually loaded up and came here?
Well, so when we loaded up and came here was March 5th of 2020. Right. So
who's going to forget that time?
Right. So my
took NCAA tournament from us.
Right. It's exactly what was happening. So my grandmother passed away on the 2nd or 3rd. And so we loaded up to come home. It was just it was us and our first child. And so we loaded up to come home for the funeral, and we stayed for 3 weeks. So, everything was shutting down, and they took the Big 12 tournament, wrestling championships and basketball, all the stuff. Right. And we all remember that. So we ended up staying for 3-ish weeks, and we had some closings that we needed to close in Colorado. And so when we drove back out there, it was like going into the apocalypse, because the closer you got to Colorado, the crazier it got, because people just got nuts.
Yeah.
And so we were getting groceries in western Nebraska, because we knew that by the time we got to Colorado, you wouldn't be able to find food because people were just insane.
Yep.
And so we ran out there to close a couple houses quick, and then we closed those. Really, before we had even closed them, we had packed up a lot of our house, shoved it in the car. We did our closings, and the next day we were out. And so then we moved back home. We actually lived in my grandmother's house because we didn't have anywhere else to go. So we lived in her house now that she wasn't living in it. And we were there for 3 or 4 months. Yeah. So it was a little unexpected. We knew we were moving back in 2020. We thought probably summertime-ish. Mm-hmm. We'd kind of shut down the business for the most part. We were rolling through the transactions that we needed to close out. But for the most part, we knew we were moving back. Yeah. And it was just accelerated a little bit. So the nerves, we didn't really have time for nerves because everybody was just trying to stay alive.
Yeah.
If you think about it, it was a wild few months there.
A lot of uncertainty that time of year. Like man, it was a little scary at first. People didn't know what the heck was going on. Obviously, we found out that we were going to be just fine. But at first, a little, especially, man, I can't imagine living out in a city or further west, because here, a life just kind of was uninterrupted.
Yeah,
that's another thing about rural America. You got all this open space, and you're on your own. You're not by a ton of people, and so a lot of times when things like that happen, I mean, there was a few things that changed, but we just kind of went about our daily life, and not a lot changed.
Well, if you think about people roping off parks, not letting you go to a park,
yeah,
and I mean the insanity that comes with that, and not letting kids go outside and keeping them holed up in a house, and
not great.
Oh man, what a crazy time.
Yeah,
but anyway, that when we moved out here, it was full of excitement, I would say. I don't think nerves were really a part of it. Maybe not as much for me. You'd probably have to ask my wife, but I was excited to come back. Yeah.
Well, I'm very excited to eventually down the road get Kelly on, get her perspective of it. I really want to ask her about like all the moving. Like, I feel like a pastor's family, a coach's family, and military families. Yeah. It's a life of selfless sacrifice and just kind of uncertainty. And maybe not so much a pastor, but because unless you're really bad, you're probably not going to get fired and have to be, but you have to be so selfless and sacrificial in those, because like how Kelly grew up, it's like, well, time to go, got a promotion or got to go do this now and stuff. So I'm excited to get her perspective on putting down roots here and talking about it. It'll be a lot of fun to hear from her.
Yeah, I'm sure she's got some great opinions and ideas on that stuff.
So
me, I didn't, I lived in the same house until I was 18. I lived in the same house in college for 4 years.
Yeah.
I had moved twice by the time I was 22, or moved once by the time I was 21 or 22,
Yeah, we're pretty much the same.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of stability in our lives.
Right.
So awesome.
Which lends itself, I think, to a great childhood. It lends itself to a great upbringing and great stability for a kid to know where he's going to be.
Absolutely.
Every day.
Yeah. Awesome. I was great. I'm glad that you shared that perspective with us. Gives people a lot more, I think, in-depth information on, it could be kind of great in rural America. So I want to get into, I was going to share some of my stuff, but I think we should get into the auction segment. Maybe next time around I'll share some of mine so we can keep plugging through.
You got it.
How's that sound?
Yep.
Let's dive into the auction and see what we can find.
All right. It is time for another fun auction. What are we? The auction minute?
Auction
time.
Minute.
Hey, now it's time for an auction. Anyway, I don't know why I said that. I got excited.
That was great.
I love to do auctioneering. So
we're going to find somebody that can actually do it. I think.
Hey, I can do it. Remember, I laid in bed on YouTube for 2 hours one night. I'm basically an auctioneer.
Yes.
All right. I'm going to share my first one with you from this. It is... Actually, I'm going to save the funny one for last. Here's the one that I want.
Okay.
And I found this on Steffes Auctioneers.
Ooh.
They are out of Fargo, North Dakota.
Steffes Group. Yeah.
Sorry, Steffes Group. At least I think they're out of Fargo, North Dakota. Wild. One of my buddy's wife's maiden name is coming up a lot on her last name as the connection for a lot of these. So I need to ask him if like one of her family members owns this auction or something.
Yeah.
So I found a Gimme's golf simulator business.
Ooh.
And I just want the whole business.
The whole business?
Yes, the whole business is up for sale. We're talking multiple different golf simulators, all the coolers and beer fridges, dispensers, the kitchen. It's all there.
Okay.
I just want to buy the whole thing and set up a golf simulator business right out here at Curry Seed Shop.
Can you fit this in a Morton building?
Oh yeah, we could fit it. We could put like 3 simulators in the corner.
Yeah.
We could have some coolers and fridges off beside it. We could set up our own little dispenser of all of our...
Have a little restaurant bar on the side.
We have our own favorite drinks in the dispenser. We could maybe have a whiskey dispenser.
A dispenser?
Yeah, can you imagine? Let's go tap the whiskey.
There you go.
So I saw that and I was just like, that's incredible. I'd love to like start a golf simulator or like winter golf league out at Dave's shop.
That's excellent. Yeah.
So that was my want. It is opening on June 17th. If anyone would like to try to buy this golf, I think they're selling it in parts or you can just buy the whole shebang. So There's golf simulator businesses are kind of becoming a thing. I know of like a few in the area.
Yeah.
But it's more like bars who put them in and
Right.
make it part of their business.
Yeah.
They have like winter leagues and stuff.
Yeah.
So
Well, that'd
I've
be
only
fun.
played in a simulator once or twice.
Yeah, me too.
It just didn't feel like it was totally accurate. But maybe that's just because I stink and I didn't like the numbers it was showing me.
I think that all depends on how much money you're willing to spend on the simulator.
This is very true. Very true.
Yeah, ask
So-
Tiger about that. I think he's got it kind of figured out.
By the way,
If you build a stadium, they will come.
By the way, I did play my first round of golf. I actually played 2 rounds, played a tournament, 18 holes on Mother's Day. Sorry, Mom. I did take her out Saturday night, though, for Mother's
yes.
Day. But I did not hang out on Mother's Day with her. But I must say, first 9, terrible. Second 9, I'm very happy.
And
Got
sunburned.
dialed in with a driver. Oh, baby. Normally, a lot of those holes where it's driver 3-wood, I was going driver 4-iron because it was windy.
Oh.
And my 4-iron was...
Yeah?
Man, it's like just that sweet spot when you hit a
Nice.
home run in the baseball bat, that feeling. I don't know if there's a better feeling than just a beautiful, sweet spot hit at a golf club.
I literally don't know the baseball feeling, but I understand the golf club feeling.
So, man, it was awesome. We had an eagle on one hole using my drive and my 4-iron. My buddy putted it.
Nice.
Made like a 25-foot putt for eagle.
Ooh.
Fired me up.
That's pretty good.
So, I love golf. And you and I have golfed together before, and we're going to do it many times this summer.
Yeah, I'm sure we will. The simulator, I think I would like to have one of those just in my basement. Wake
Wouldn't
up
that
in the
be
morning, 5:30 a.m., take some swings.
Yeah.
The kids just hear golf balls pounding off of them. Yeah, that would be fun. Yeah, exactly.
Daddy's out golfing again.
Daddy's golfing again.
It's hilarious.
It's 20 below, January.
You're in your house, and the kids come down, and you're like full golf shorts, polo tucked
Yeah, exactly.
in, like you're actually out
Yes.
golfing.
Yep.
That's hilarious. You got your golf shoes on in the basement.
Got your caddy sitting there.
Oh, what's your first item?
My first item is actually a miss. I missed this item. This is why I watch auctions, and I was too busy this last week to really dial in on them. And there was a 53-foot van trailer. I'm in search of a 53-foot van trailer because with our seed business, we have a box-to-box seed treater. So when we apply a fungicide insecticide to the seed. We get the seed from the company, and it's just bare seed.
Yep.
And we want to apply a fungicide insecticide to it for our customers. And so we have what's called a box-to-box treater. So you put a box of seed up on top, it goes through, it treats it, and then it dumps it into another box, right? Well, when we get our seed from Asgrow and Alloy, they come in mini bulk plastic bags instead of the hard box.
Yep.
So
No fun to handle.
which is how it's always been, but a majority of seed companies now use hard-sided boxes. But that means, so when I have to put seed in, when I have to treat the seed, I need to take the seed from the bag and put it in a box first, which means I need to have a whole bunch of boxes on hand already to do that. So now I've acquired all these boxes and I need a place to put them. So I was like, well, maybe I'll just buy a 53-foot van trailer. And there was a beautiful one on Big Iron and it went for like $3,000. And I was like, oh,
you missed
man,
out.
what a whiff. Yeah. So I'm really sad.
Did you just forget about it?
I just was in the field, spraying, planting, doing stuff.
Oh,
And I
so
just-
you saw
I
it
just
like
missed
when it was too late.
Yeah.
Oof.
Well, I had it saved and I just hadn't checked in a few days. And I think it was in eastern Nebraska. So it was an hour and a half away. It would have been easy to go get it. And I just whiffed.
Hey, podcast idea. We do a live pod on the road while we go to pick up an auction item.
We could do that.
That'd be fun.
Yeah.
And stop at a quick start if we see one.
But that's why you watch auctions, man.
Yeah.
Like there are deals on auctions. And it was
There.
it was probably a 10-year-old trailer, but it looked very well done. And
Honestly, one that probably should have been going for $5,000 or $6,000, and you could have got it for $3,000.
Exactly.
Not to kick you while you're down.
Yeah. Well, and I also just priced at Morton Building. I was like, yeah, I'm in search of a van trailer instead.
Morton Building's not cheap.
Well, they're great and we love them and it will probably happen someday. It's just not going to happen this minute, And so that's what you gotta weigh out what you can get for a part-time storage solution in the meantime. Is it going to solve all of our problems? No. But at the same time, can it get us by for a handful more years while we've got cheaper corn and cheaper beans and that sort of stuff?
$7 corn, $13 beans.
Then I'll build that shed.
Putting up a building.
Tell my guy to call me back when it hits $7. You call me.
All right. My funny or weird auction item. And I am someone who loves to prank people and scare people. It gives me life. I think I'm honestly shocked that I have as many friends as I do because I scare them often, and I cannot believe they still want to be my friend. But I have a freaking epic scare on Josiah once at youth group when he was a youth student and I was a youth leader. Scared him once when he was walking down the stairs while we were playing sardines. He was looking for someone. I was underneath the stairs, and like I jumped out and yelled, and he freaked out, and he just goes like falls, like slides all the way down the stairs.
So typical Josiah.
Josiah's a jumpy person. It's one of the most hilarious. It's like one of the most top 5 hilarious moments of my life. So funny. So on Big Iron, I found someone selling porcelain dolls.
Oh boy.
And I would like to buy these. They're still in. I don't think they've ever been opened. Still completely
that's
intact.
So creepy, man.
I want
that's so creepy.
I'd love to buy these porcelain dolls and like go to my friend's house and like just hide them, put them around somewhere I know like they might flip on their bathroom light and like just freak out because there's a doll looking at them or like in their closet or something. So
here's my own personal experience.
Yeah.
Don't waste your time with a small doll. Get yourself a Yonkie.
Oh my gosh.
A Yonkie.
Yeah, David's got a full-size former Yonkers mannequin.
Yes.
In their
Yonkers
shop
closeout
bathroom.
sale. Yonkers closeout sale.
I have used the shop bathroom 15 times in my life. 14 times I've been scared. I forget he's there, and I open the door and think there's a human there, or I go in and I feel like there's someone there staring at me, and it makes me jump every time.
It's the best when the lights are off.
Oh, I know.
Because people don't expect there to
freaks
be
you out.
It gets you.
Yeah.
We have truckers that'll show up, so they deliver seed and they'll get out and they say, "Hey, can I use your bathroom?" And I say, "Yeah." Have fun. And they come back and a lot of times they're just kind of white.
Oh, it's so good. Yeah.
Yeah.
You need to get it like a well, that's illegal. I was going to say you need to get a scare cam in there, but cameras in the bathroom.
Yeah, you
not
can't
great.
do that. I'm not going to do that. I'm
not
not going to do that at all.
Maybe it can be like out here so it sees them before they go in. But no scare cams in bathrooms, please.
No, I'm not going to do that. All right, my item, there's actually 2 of these available in South Sioux City.
Okay.
And I don't know where these came from or who is selling them. I don't know if you've ever heard of this. And I feel like, with the large outdoor grilling market really popping right now, we should not forget about the Instant Burger, a $9.75 hamburger maker. You ever seen one of these?
No, the Instant Burger
Instant
hamburger
burger.
maker?
So you take raw hamburger or your seasoned burger, whatever, you pack it into a little wad, and it looks like a commercial grade George Foreman. See this thing? Look at that. Right there, okay?
Oh, that thing is
and
awesome.
You open it up, set your 2 patties in there, close the lid, hit the button, 1 minute, done. It's so shocking that when the guy showing the video, he shows a video, and he says, and now you close the lid, and you hit the button, and by the time he gets done explaining it, it dings, and he takes out 2 burgers and puts it on a burger bun. It's the fastest thing I've ever seen in my life.
This sounds unbelievable.
Yeah. So I think it kind of looked disgusting when it was finished, but if you're making a burger,
like all gray
if you're making a burger on your stovetop, it's no different than this.
Yeah.
Right? Sometimes during the wintertime, it's 20 below and you got to do it on a cast iron. I mean, you might as well have one of these. And right now it's for sale for $11.
Oh my.
So
where's that at?
South Sioux City.
But what site?
Big Iron.
Big Iron?
Big Iron.
Gosh,
yeah. Yep. I think it closes in 8 days. So
I
it may
imagine
go
though if you
cheap.
do that like stovetop or you do like countertop or something in your apartment, probably not.
I would still leave it. I would still leave it in the garage or something.
Probably gonna stink. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. But it was shocking how fast it got done.
That thing must get real hot.
Commercial grade somehow. I'm not sure if that's something that they would use at a. It was fresh hamburger though, so it's not like a Mickey D's.
Yeah.
I don't know where or who's using them.
Dude, I could start a food truck business with this. Ped's Instant Burgers.
Ped's Instaburger.
Ped's Insta Burgers. There you go. Come on by. Don't have a lot of time for lunch. Only a 20-minute lunch.
It's
help
from
you with Ped's Insta Burgers.
I know where it's from. Covington Links Golf Course.
There we go.
So they were using this at a golf course, making
that
their
and the
burgers.
hot dog roller.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Those are mine.
All right, people. Well, if you're so inclined, also, if I try buy these dolls and one of you gets in a bidding war with me, we're going to have a problem.
Yeah.
So stay out of my way because I want to scare people with my porcelain dolls.
Do you know who's bidding on those dolls with you?
Probably psychopaths and serial killers.
80-year-old women, probably.
Well, good. They don't know how to use technology good, so I'll win.
That was such an ageist comment.
Whoops, my bad. I'm sure there's plenty tech-capable oldies out there.
That's right. That's right.
So, all right, ladies and gentlemen. Well, thank you for joining us for another episode. This is so exciting. Love having my morning chats with Dave. Love having Josiah off to the side. Brings me comfort. And we'll catch you next time on Dave and Ped's AGcellent Adventure.